Hello and welcome to the program today. I'm Layo Olarinde. We begin in Egypt. The country is hosting an international conference to canvass for humanitarian support for Gaza, which has been devastated by more than a year of war between Hamas and Israel. Many senior regional and Western officials are attending the conference in Cairo, among whom is the Deputy Secretary General Amina Mohammed and other senior UN officials. Participants say the humanitarian situation in Gaza has greatly deteriorated, especially in the Strip's northern areas, which have been mostly cut off for over a month. The Strip is also facing dire consequences, even as the winter season sets in.
Neighborhoods, hospitals and schools, all left.
And US President Joe Biden is in Angola for a visit which fulfills his promise to visit sub-Saharan Africa during his presidency. On his arrival, he was welcomed by President João Lourenço. Now, this trip is focused on the US-backed railway project, the Lobito Corridor, which links resource-rich Democratic Republic of Congo and Zambia to the Angolan port of Lobito on the Atlantic Ocean. Partly funded by a US loan, the Lobito Corridor will make it faster and easier to export critical minerals such as copper and cobalt towards the United States, which has been widely seen as a way to divert some of the resources from China. Mr. Biden is to tour the National Slavery Museum and various facilities in Lobito. Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu is in Cape Town, South Africa for the 11th session of the Nigeria-South Africa Binational Commission, BNC. On his arrival, he was received by South Africa's Minister of International Relations and Cooperation, Roland Lamola, alongside Nigeria's Minister of State for Foreign Affairs, Bianca Odumegu Ojukwu. The Nigeria-South Africa Binational Commission deliberations with South Africa President Cyril Ramaphosa covers themes such as political consultations, consular and migration, banking and finance, defense and security, manufacturing, social sector, mines and energy. Well, the Nigeria-South Africa Binational Commission was established in 1999 to strengthen ties of friendship and cooperation between the two countries.
Bring your back.
Can you please move away from the door?
Bring your back.
Please move from the door.
Well, earlier on at the opening session of the 11th Nigeria-South Africa Binational Commission, South Africa's Minister of International Relations, Dr. Roland Lamola, highlighted Nigeria's instrumental role in the fight against white minority rule in South Africa, reflecting the historic solidarity between the two nations. The session was co-chaired by Nigeria's Minister of State for Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Bianca Ojukwu, and Dr. Roland Lamola.
This year marks 30 years since our two countries established diplomatic relations, following decades of Nigeria's relentless support for the anti-apartheid struggle in South Africa, a gesture we will always cherish. Dear Minister, and all ministers who are here, we are deeply honored to host you and your delegation at the ministerial segment of South Africa's Nigeria Binational Commission. As co-chairs, we are entrusted with the distinguished yet demanding task of steering the deliberation of this 11th historic binational commission. In the presence of our fellow colleagues, ministers, whose leadership of their sectoral responsibilities is very important in determining a successful BNC. You are all acknowledged and your input will also be critical in outlining the key features of our bilateral engagements. I also wish to take this opportunity to express appreciation to the technical experts, the officials who are at the core of the preparatory work that underpins these structured mechanisms. We look forward to.
Well, in other news about South Africa, its G20 presidency will be focusing on mobilizing financing for nations stricken by climate-induced disasters and also extending debt relief to developing countries. South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa announced this, adding that he would put the priorities of the African continent onto the agenda of the powerful Global Economic Forum. The country is now in charge of G20 affairs for a year till she hosts an annual summit in November 2025 and then hand over leadership to the United States. South Africa is the first African country to lead the G20 that is set up to bolster economic cooperation. The bloc includes 19 sovereign nations, the European Union and the African Union.
South Africa's G20 presidency takes place at a moment and at a time in which the world is facing a number of serious challenges. The climate crisis is worsening and widening. Across the world, billions of people are affected by underdevelopment, inequality, and poverty, hunger, as well as massive unemployment. First, we must take action to strengthen disaster resilience. And this has to do with the actions that we will seek the G20 to address when it comes to climate change, so that we just go beyond talking about climate change and begin to address the damage that is caused. Second, we must take action to ensure debt sustainability for your low-income countries. A key obstacle to inclusive growth is in developing economies, including in our own African countries, is an unsustainable level of debt which continues to limit their ability to invest in infrastructure, in healthcare, in education, and other development needs.
There are varying success stories when it comes to separation of conjoined twins in the world. Surgeons say the difficulty is not in the surgery, but in the decision to have surgery and the follow-ups. Our correspondent, Amarachi Ubani, had a chat with Professor Oluyinka Olutoye, leader of one of the largest children's hospital surgery departments in the world, and through whose leadership of 11 surgical departments works to advance nationwide children's common mission, philosophy and approach to excellence in patient care, dedication to outstanding clinical outcomes, and commitment to academic excellence, and also the education of the next generation of leaders in children's surgery. A physician of Nigerian origin, Dr. Oluyinka Olutoye, achieved a rare feat when he successfully operated on an unborn baby, after which the pregnancy continued and the mother delivered a healthy baby after 36 weeks.
I trained at Obafemi Awolowo University in Ife, and I went to the United States for further training, and I've been there since. I have taken care of conjoined twins in the United States, several of them actually, that we have separated. But no, I have not been involved in conjoined twin separation in Nigeria.
Professor Olutoye, you've been in the US for so many years. Do you ever get the chance to go back home to Nigeria?
I go home quite frequently, yes. Mostly on vacation to see family.
Do you encounter cases of conjoined twins when you return?
Not professionally, no. I'm not aware that. I think every now and then you hear about some that, just casually. But as you've seen from this conference, separation of conjoined twins takes a considerable team effort. Now, there's no question that there is the skill in Nigeria to be able to do it. The question is, do we have resources and facilities to support that being done? Because Nigeria is blessed with a lot of surgeons that are technically gifted and talented, but do we have the infrastructure and the environment and the equipment to support the utilization of those skills?
Well, the brain drain is a result of that.
Well, I think for a country as talented as Nigeria that has trained so many people, it's sad that we have just trained folks for others to harvest. All the investment that we have done, that has been done into the talent pool, into the youth in Nigeria, has not been harvested by Nigeria because we don't have the soil for them to bloom for the potential that they have. The soil is there, rather, but it's not being tilled for them to bloom. You may have a rich soil, but if all the other things that you need to water the plants to bloom are not there, just like plants would seek light to grow, so they will go where there's light, so they can grow.
Whose fault is that?
It's all our fault. It's our collective fault. I think the fault is that of all of us, and it's multifactorial, but I don't think, apportioning blame is not going to solve anything. It's more of how do we get it fixed.
Back to the issue of conjoined twins, what would you consider a success story?
Well, a success story for conjoined twins, as you've heard from a lot of the conference today, is really, can we give those twins the full potential of life, whatever that is? As we know, some twins are not separable, and if that's the case, can we help them function to the best of their abilities and capacities? Some can be separated, and can it be done in a way that they can have the full potential of what they can do afterwards? So determining what that potential is an individual decision. And so it's dependent on the circumstance, on the fusion, and on what's possible, and on what the potential risks and benefits of separation or non-separation would be. So it has to be decided on a case-by-case basis.
What is the success rate in the United States?
So it's pretty good. I mean, depending on the case. Again, like every delicate case, it's about case selection. If you select the right case with the right people, with the right environment, the outcomes should be pretty good. There's some that regardless of what you do, the outcomes will not be good. There's some conjoined twins that you know that just in the process of separation, one twin would not have enough left to survive. So you know that going up into it as a planned outcome of that procedure. And if that's what the desire is, then while that may not be ideal, that is the optimum outcome in that particular case. There's some where the plan is to have two healthy kids, and hopefully in all cases that should be what's obtained afterwards.
Are there situations where you've had to advise parents or caregivers not to go ahead with surgery because after separation, it is very likely that these children will become dependents for the rest of their lives?
Well, again, that's where the individual decision comes. So it's important to, in any situation, I think there's shared decision making. It's not just enough for the medical personnel to tell the patient or tell the family what to do or not to do. But it's important to actually state what is possible, what is not possible, what are the risks and benefits of what line of action. And I think by the time it's clearly stated, the options become clear as to what the appropriate decision to make is. Realizing that what I find intolerable may not be intolerable for you, or what I find tolerable may not be tolerable for you. So it's a matter of laying clearly what the goals and endpoints are for the families to decide. The challenge with conjoined twins is because many times the decisions are being made for children that are too young to make a decision for themselves. So the parents are having to make those decisions on their behalf. And those children are essentially subject to the results of those decisions. But it's not just about conjoined twins alone. That's what parents do all the time, make the best decisions they can for their children.
What has been your most memorable case?
Every case is a memorable case, because as far as I'm concerned, every case, as far as that family is concerned, is the only case that's important to them. And so I treat every case with that same awe and respect, realizing that while it may be another day in the operating room for me or my team, for that family, it's the only operation they care about. And so I try to treat it with that same level of respect and awe.
Any plans to retire back to Nigeria?
My plans have always been to be engaged and involved in Nigeria to the extent with which that's possible. But then at the same time, it's that caveat to the extent to which it's possible. I like to go back. Nigeria is not short on talent. So another doctor going back to Nigeria is not the solution for Nigeria. The question is, how can we encourage and make sure that those that we have there are well utilized and functioning well and well resourced, such that there isn't the flight that's happening to a lot of physicians in Nigeria.
Thank you again, Professor Olutoye.
You're welcome.
Since the beginning of this year till November 30th, over 41,000 illegal migrants have arrived Spain's Canary Islands from West Africa. This is said to be an all-time annual record. The Interior Ministry gave this number of African migrants who are said to have reached Spain on precarious vessels departing West Africa. The Canaries, a group of 7 islands off northwestern Africa's Atlantic coast, is struggling to absorb the surge in irregular migrants arriving on overcrowded, open-topped boats that are seeking better opportunities in Europe. With 1 month of 2024 still pending, this is the second year in a row that the islands are seeing a record number of arrivals. Mali, Senegal, and Morocco are said to be the top 3 nationalities contributing to this migrant surge. Here in Nigeria, the Lagos State government, through the Office for Disability Affairs, has offered financial assistance to 150 senior citizens in the state with a sum of 200,000 naira each. The government says the program is a reflection of their commitment to create a supportive environment for all, regardless of their age or status.
Some senior citizens of Lagos State converged on the LCCI Conference and Exhibition Center Ikeja for the empowerment program organized by the Lagos State Office for Disability Affairs to support the vulnerable at this difficult period of economic hardship. The general manager of LASODA, Adenike Oyetunde Lawal, says the initiative is designed to assist 150 elderly people with 200,000 naira each, and also ensure they stay healthy.
Today's program shifts the focus to our elders. Participants will undergo comprehensive health checks, including tests for blood pressure, blood sugar and cholesterol, other vital assessments. These steps reaffirm our dedication to promoting health and well-being. Every single one of you, 150 of you, will get the 200,000 naira that the state government has given to you.
The event also provides free medical checkup for the elderly, which is also emphasized by a public health physician.
They are silent killers. And the 2 major ones are what we call the hypertension and diabetes. Silent killers because they don't get to know they have these diseases until complications set in. And the essence of having this discussion or having this lecture is to see how we can identify the signs and symptoms of these conditions so that proper care will be done, so that this complication that might be very, very difficult to manage will not come up at all.
Some of the beneficiaries of the support fund and healthcare initiative applaud the government for the gesture.
Well, I'm very, very happy indeed, because this is the first time we handle this type of money from government, from Lagos State government. I'm very, very happy, and I thank them very well. Because, they did a very big work to me.
I have accident over 15 years ago, but I still complain, need car. So, but I thank God today that there's nothing small. I appreciate, and I give the LASODA GM and the all the community and all the members. I really appreciate.
We appreciate the Lagos State government for this wonderful gesture they have for us, because it has not happened before. It's first time we are seeing it, and we thank him. We thank everyone involved for this wonderful privilege they offer to us, we the elderly ones, because God remember us through them, and God will remember all of them too, because we are happy. We take our test, they give us drugs, and God will bless all of them.
The Lagos State government says it will continue to support persons above 60, make sure they are financially stable, and protect the rights of people living with disability, and ensure their full integration into society.
And finally, on the program, Ghana's economy is growing again after the pandemic, but the cocoa sector, reputed to be the world's second largest, is still struggling. For many cocoa farmers, provision of fertilizer for their declining crop is a deal breaker in the fast approaching presidential election.
In an expected close contest between MPP's Mahamudu Bawumia, the current vice president, and former President John Mahama of the opposition National Democratic Congress, NDC, the votes of cocoa farmers in Ghana could be decisive, and many of them are angry. 56-year-old cocoa farmer Joseph Ako, who voted for the ruling NPP in the last election, hopes the party will address the cocoa farmers' fertilizer needs.
Me myself, I like NDC policy, that they give us fertilizer always. Even last time they give me 60 bags of fertilizer for me to use my farm. But when I use money to buy it, it takes me 100,000.
Cocoa farming households, estimated to constitute approximately 2 million voters, are a heavily quoted voter bloc in a country with a total electorate of 18 million. It is a group that has trended pro-NPP in recent years. But now, with cocoa payments at 3,100 cedis per 64 kg bag, rather than 4,000 cedis, they believe that they are receiving the short end of the trade stick.
This year,
They have made up their minds that once we are in our villages, whatever small thing they give us, we will be satisfied. But they forget, we think ahead. So we say okay to everything they say, but in our minds, we know what we are doing.
Ghana's cocoa production peaked in 2021 with output of over 1 million tons of beans, but it has been in rapid decline ever since, hitting its lowest level in decades last season. Experts say climate change and tree disease are responsible in part, but many farmers also blame the government for failing to clamp down on the rampant wildcat gold mining that has destroyed and polluted much of the cocoa heartland. And while the government paid more for cocoa under NPP rule, Ghana's cedi is depreciating and global markets for the pods are at a historic high. This has left farmer incomes lagging far behind global price trends and fueled rampant smuggling. Much of the farmers' ire is reserved for COCOBOD, the highly politicized state regulator responsible for managing the cocoa sector. Even as production shrinks, COCOBOD spending has ballooned. Administrative costs more than tripled between 2018 and 2023, sparking accusations of waste and corruption. Mr. Mahama has vowed to distribute free fertilizer, improve COCOBOD's management, and cut its administrative costs while rooting out illegal gold mining and combating smuggling. While his rival, Mr. Bawumia, has touted favorable policies he set in motion for the farmers.
And that's it on the program today. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Layo Olarinde.